Brought to you in part by Monadnock Flooring and Decorating, offering quality sales, service, and installation for over 35 years on Production Avenue next to Subaru of Keene. Hey everybody, I'm Luca Paris and welcome to A Culinary Journey. I'm getting my chicken ready. And that's right, we're going to be talking about chicken. I get it all the time. People ask me to do those shows where I do chicken 3 different ways. And then I get a couple of people that ask me, hey, any chance you showing me how to make chicken piccata? And then any chance you showing me how to make saltimbocca? 2 items that I do a lot at the restaurant, and I really wanted to share with you today. So we are going to make those. We're going to make a chicken piccata, a chicken saltimbocca later in the show near the end. And in the middle, we're going to do a Spanish-inspired chicken I used to do years ago. And it's been requested, so I'm going to do it. But before I'm going to say, we'll start the show, what I did was I actually get the breast of chicken ready. This is what I bought from the store. I'm going to cut them in medallions while all that like cool stuff starts playing. I'm going to pound out this chicken to get ready for the show. So we got chicken piccata, chicken saltimbocca, Spanish-inspired chicken, all because your culinary journey starts now. Hey everybody, welcome back to A Culinary Journey. Just getting our chicken nice and flattened out and making it tender. What I'm going to do is what makes it really nice and quick to work with when you're doing with chicken is you pound it out all to the same level, so that way you don't have lower spots that get cooked quicker and then the higher spots. A lot of people will say, well, I got to throw it in the oven, it takes too long, I don't want to make chicken. Well, it's the easiest thing, and when it's thin and pounded out, it's super tender. So basically what I did was take 2 sheets of plastic, cover them up, and voila, our first 2 we're going to make are with the piccata, and those are the 2 I have right here. So basically, what I need are some simple ingredients. We need capers, butter, lemon, garlic, wine. Look at that. That's all I need for my chicken piccata, right? Some salt and pepper. So first, we're going to season our flour, and I'm going to season it with salt and pepper and my ariosto mix. And I'll even season my chicken a little bit because this flavor is we're going to layer our seasoning and it's going to come out all the way through. So we have that going on. Let's get oil in our pan. And I cannot tell you how quick some of these dishes cook up. All right, so we've pounded out our chicken nice and thin. I'm going to dredge it in our flour. Now when you're dredging, it's going to do a couple of things. One, it's going to protect the meat. And it's also, this flour is going to help create our sauce because the starch in the flour is going to help thicken our sauce. But you always want to get the little excess off, right? Let's get that off. We'll make sure our pan's nice and hot. And by doing that, I'll just kind of drop some of the flour in there from there. If I see it bubble up, I'm just about there. And I get my sizzle. There you go. See? That was easy enough. Again, chicken in the flour and excess off. Now these are one-pan wonders, these chickens. Now listen, if you're going to be cooking for a lot of people, you're going to probably sear off your chicken depending on the size of your pan. You don't want to overcrowd your pan because then the temperature will go down and you're not really searing. But what you want to be able to do is cook off your chicken and then put it on a baking sheet, get it ready in the oven, so that way you can keep it warm while you're creating the sauce in the pan. Now, what the chicken's doing is helping us start this sauce by the flour is getting cooked in the pan with the oil, and then we have the flavor of the chicken. And if we flip that over, we'll see the flour kind of falls off a little bit, and we're starting to see a nice little browning there. Now, this chicken scallopini or chicken medallion is pretty darn close to being cooked, so we want to add our ingredients in there now. So we're going to add our sauce around it. We're going to put our capers in, and as they heat up, they're going to give this kind of salty, briny feel to it. We're going to add some garlic. I don't add it in too directly to the pan because I don't want it to burn. We're going to put in some lemon juice. In this case, I'm going to take a lemon, roll it a little bit, and then lemon juice is a great thing to add to this pan. If you find that your heat's too high, just remove it a little bit. And then I like to leave the lemon in there, all right? Because we're going to add, it's just going to add more flavor. So I got that, and that. We'll check the salt and pepper later. We add in our white wine, and that's going to bring everything together. We're going to let that reduce down. While that's reducing down, I'm going to chop up my parsley. And like I said, these are one of those things that cook very, very quickly because they're cooking around the chicken, the sauce is in there, and it really is a lemon butter wine chicken with capers. Now, butter, that's what's going to bring this whole sauce together. So let's chop up our parsley and get us a little bit of butter. And we get it in there. Now here's where I generally like to take the chicken out because, let me get a plate here, put it on, because I don't want the chicken to overcook. Although the moisture that's in the sauce is keeping it moist, I still don't want it to be totally overcooked. And if you have some rice or mashed potatoes, think about how like thin and delicate these cutlets are. If you want to do a pork, or as traditional, you usually find the piccata in with veal, you could do that as well. But chicken is inexpensive and a great way to go. I'm going to test my sauce. These simple butter sauces, I've done it. It's very similar to when I do a butter sauce for scampi or a butter sauce for chicken franchise. They're simple and they're elegant. And what they do is they have such great flavor. The lemon really pops. The butter brings it all together. And you just have to have that right balance of it. So I'm just checking. Nice. It starts with that, acidic burst of lemon, then finishes off nicely. And you have the brine from the capers. And the more you cook the capers down, the more crunchy they get too. So we're going to take this off of here because we don't want the butter to break the sauce. And then we're going to add our parsley. Right? And like I've made scampi dishes in the past too, or piccata dishes, if you want to cheat a little bit because you like it really creamy and rich, you could add just a drizzle of cream. And that also holds it all together. But look at that sauce, right? How quick was that? How easy was that? And, you go to restaurants, you buy these kind of sauces. You could do this at home. That's the first of our 3 sauces. When we come back, next sauce we're going to make is kind of the Spanish-inspired cilantro, peppers, sofrito. A little more included in this one, but you're going to absolutely love it. So don't go away. We'll be right back. Hey everybody, welcome back to A Culinary Journey. I hope you enjoyed the chicken piccata. It's a quick, easy dish. And sometimes I like to do that and get a little throwback into some of my earlier dishes that I like to cook with. Because they are fast, because they are easy to do, and they're great to do at home. So we did the chicken piccata. Now we're going to do that same concept, and we're going to take it to the next level with more of a Moroccan, Spanish kind of feel because we're going to be blending some flavors together. It is a Spanish dish, but you'll see by using lime in there and even some Moroccan spices like coriander and cumin, these kind of tagine spices. We're just going to make this thing pop with a lot of flavor. Same concept, a couple more ingredients, but very, very easy to do at home. So first, I use my Moroccan tagine blend where in it, my main spices are like cumin and coriander, a little bit of chili powder, and that's going to give this a lot of flavor, this dish. So we're going to use that. And we're going to mix that up a little bit. There you go. With my handy dandy mixing tool. There you go. And then we have our chicken that we flatten out like the piccata, right? So we'll keep that on the side. We'll get that started in a second. But I want to kind of get my other ingredients ready because this dish will work quickly also. Very important, the first thing I want to do, prepare for it, is my pancetta. You could use bacon in here too, kind of gives you that earthy, kind of meaty feel to it. Pancetta is an Italian cured bacon. And then what you do with this, the same thing as you would do with regular bacon, is you just want to render it down. So I'll take a good amount of that, and that's going to give us another depth of flavor. Remember, you could start with something as simple, the process as simple as a piccata, and then work your way up if you're doing this at home. And that's pretty much what we're doing. We got these in nice little chunks. And watch, I'm going to put this in here with nothing. We're going to add salt directly to the top of it. It's a little salt and pepper. And just in a few seconds, what will start happening is that the salt's going to start extracting the fat out of the pancetta. And once it does, it's going to start creating its own fat, and we're going to be using that as our oil for our chicken. So that's going to happen there. While that is happening, I need some peppers. So I'm just going to cut the outside of this pepper, and we're going to use some pepper strips. So as I cut half of the pepper off, right, I'm just going to put it outside facing up, and then kind of go right down on it to make these juliennes of peppers. Because I want to give this nice long look. That's what they're going to look like in there. We'll do a couple more. Again, this is one of those things, if you're cooking for 3, 4, 5 people, what you want to do is cook your chicken first, and then in the same pan you cooked your chicken, you're going to want to start creating your sauce. This is the exception. The baconette or the pancetta that you're doing, you're going to want to need it in there to kind of give you a little more fat. Now, if your pancetta for some reason doesn't give you all the fat you need, don't know why, but it seems to be happening now, bacon will generally do that a little bit more. We could add some oil to this, but I want to render that down first and see where it goes for us. All right, so I got my tomatoes too. Same thing I do with my tomatoes, and if you watched my show before, I really like to take the seeds out of there and all the inside outs, but what I do is I kind of just go right along most of that. I take that inside kind of membrane out. This I use in my tomato sauces, which is really cool. I like to just save that for then. And then I have some of the seeds, which is okay, but I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to julienne the outside of my tomatoes. And what's great, this is great for a salad too, if you want to do it in a salad so you don't have all those seeds. So we'll do the same thing on this one. I'll just cut right to the top of where those seeds are. I'm saving as much of the meat from here as possible. And I'm keeping the skin on, and I have this beautiful julienne. So I have my peppers and my tomatoes already. I'm going to use some lime juice instead of lemon juice. And we're starting to cook down that pancetta. It's starting to get nice and crispy. We're getting some oil in the pan. You see that right there? And we're going to add a little bit to this, depending on the amount that you get out of your bacon, your pancetta. Sometimes bacon will give you a ton of oil in the pan. I'm going to turn down the heat just a touch. And we're going to follow the same process we did before. Okay? So before we did flour, and this is our seasoned flour, which was dredged. Seasoned flour. Tap it off just a little bit. I'm going to add it right to the oil. And then flour your other medallion. Now, if you're cooking for yourself, this is a great way to do it. Or if you're cooking for 2, you could do this one little pan here. You could cook both. Cook these 2 medallions, pull them out. Do the same thing for another 2 medallions, and then start creating your sauce. And now, we're going to let one side sit and caramelize. The flour is going to get in the pan to help us create our sauce. Sometimes, if you want to make it a more rich sauce, a tomatoey sauce, sometimes what you'll do is just put in plum tomato instead of Roma tomatoes or 5x6 tomatoes, which these are just a regular tomato. So that's what we're going to do. Those are some of the things you can do. All right, let's go check this out. We've cooked one side of the chicken. Now the other side is not only going to cook while we're doing the rest of this sauce, but it's going to sear up at the same time. And you see how look at that bacon, that pancetta is coming out really beautiful. Now, let's start getting our tomatoes and peppers in there. We're going to let those start cooking down. Oh, we'll put a lot. This is a great dish. All right, we got those in there. We're going to always need a little bit of garlic. And we're putting it later on in the dish so it doesn't burn. Oh, this is looking yummy already. Get rid of that. We'll save that. And then I have here a blend of sofrito. This is kind of base of a lot of things I do, just like my Ariosto spices or my spice blends. Kind of symbolizes what we do. When you're at home, there'll be certain things you like cooking with that are just there for you, and no one really knows about them, but it makes a difference in what you're cooking. Sofrito to me is where I took onions and peppers, fresh onions and peppers, chopped them up, cooked them down. I added an ancho chili or dry chili peppers to it. I boiled that off and then I added to it. And we cooked that down for about an hour and then puree it into a paste. So that's what I have here. There's actually a little bacon in here too. And that becomes like a start to a sauce. So I want to add it right to the pan, but I add it later in the dish. So that's going to have a little bit of smoky heat, kind of secret ingredient, if you will. that I know is there that I'm hoping makes a difference compared to what somebody else might do. And you might come up with your own secret ingredient, whether it's something you buy or make yourself. Just you find that there, whether it's just an adobo or chipotle and adobo or something like that. It just gives you another layer of flavor. So we have all our ingredients cooking. We have the peppers, we have the bacon, we have the garlic, we have everything we need in there. We want to deglaze the pan now and create a sauce for this. So the first thing we want to do is add a little bit of citrus to it. And in this case, we're using lime. So when I think about Spanish or, even Mexican dishes, and this could be very reminiscent of something you might find in Central America, maybe if you use chorizo sausage in there or what have you. But Moroccan, Spanish, those type of Latin dishes, lime juice seems to be something I like to throw in there. And I'll flip it over and caramelize that lime just a little bit, get some more flavor in there. So we have those ingredients in there, right? We're going to finish this off with some sherry wine. It has some natural sweetness to it. So we're going to add that to the dish as well. Give a nice amount of that. We're going to let that cook down. So as that cooks down, basically what we need left is to add our herbs, cilantro. Now when you're thinking about Spain, when you think about cilantro and you think Spain, they're not really an interchangeable thing. When you think Mexican food, you think cilantro. When you think Spain, if they use anything like cilantro, it's actually called coriander leaf. So if you see that on a recipe for whatever reason, coriander leaf is cilantro. Coriander, which you found we started with in my mix here from our Moroccan spices, coriander is the seed, creates a leaf, the leaf is cilantro. You know the rest of the story, right? So it's not something that's prevalent in Spain, but you'll see it a lot in Moroccan cooking. And one thing about Morocco and Spain, the Moors that came up through Morocco into Spain and conquered part of it, brought a lot of these cooking techniques with them and a lot of this food. So you'll find a lot of interchanging recipes or what you might not have thought of in that type of cooking. So now look how this dish is coming together. Look at that. We created a sauce with the sofrito and the sherry. We're going to add some butter to this to kind of just bring it together. Butter will do a couple of things. Not only bring our sauce together, give it a little bit of shine, but it also balances the playing field. A little bit of dairy in your dish balances that playing field so you're not too sweet, not too spicy, and it just really finishes your sauce for you. So let's take this out of here. Bye-bye. Let's get a little area to plate up in. Watch this. You're going to love this dish. And let's let that sauce kind of come together. Keep looking at that sauce because it's beautiful. Or look at me getting a plate, whichever you want to do. But look at that. Look at that sauce coming together. Our cilantro last minute. And like I always say, your herbs, if you have fresh herbs, put them in the last minute because you don't want them to die in the sauce. And what they will is, as you cut them up as late as possible in the process, and you add them to the heat as late as possible in the process. Because when you do that, you're allowing the natural oils to really pop. You're not losing anything, and that's why you do it. If it's dry herbs, like the Moroccan spice blend we had, that goes either in the seasoning or the flour, or directly into the oil. Oh man, this looks good. This looks incredible. You guys should be here today. I almost needed a guest for this dish. Sometimes these dishes get better with time. All right, this is my Spanish-inspired chicken. Again, really quick. Really quick, really easy, and a heck of a lot of fun. When we come back, we're going to make chicken saltimbocca. Don't go away. You're going to absolutely love this next dish. See you in a minute. Welcome back, everybody. We got one more chicken dish to do. So we made chicken piccata, which is over there. The Spanish chicken, which is beautiful. Oh, it's so photogenic. Look, they make a nice couple. And not for nothing, that sauce hasn't broken yet. Look at that. That's a perfect sauce. And that's not even, I don't even have those fancy people to take care of that. And then finally, we got chicken saltimbocca. Can be done with pork or veal. Again, simple dishes. That's what we want to show you today. It's really easy dishes, and we had a couple of people ask me for these. They said, well, I don't want to go look at your old episodes, so can you do them again? I said, sure. Why not? It's easy. So on our last dish, we actually had to keep the paper that we pounded with. And I brought back out our little board that we're going to pound on. That's the chicken that I pounded down initially when we first started the show. Now I'm going to add a couple of things to that. First, I'm going to tear some fresh sage. Now I'm just going to tear it. You don't have to cut it. You just tear it. And remember, sage is really potent. It's really got this strong earthy flavor that's perfect. And so you don't want to do too much, and you want to only tear it as you need it. Again, natural oils, fresh, yummy. Oh, it smells delicious. We'll get that too hot. The other thing we're going to do is put on top of this is some prosciutto. Now I use an Italian prosciutto. Get it sliced really thin. You can find them in all the markets now. And this is going to kind of just go right on top. And you should be able to find it in your supermarket or your deli or anything like that. Prosciutto di Parma. Now I use the American prosciutto for cooking because actually it's a little saltier. And then it'll let me use less salt. So actually what you want to do is taste your prosciutto. If it's really salty, remember when it cooks down, it's going to intensify that salt. So you want to kind of balance that in your finished product. But we are going to layer our seasoning. We have to know what our ingredients taste like to layer it. Now we have our prosciutto and our sage together. I'm going to pop this back on. And then we're just going to pound that into our chicken so it stays. And we'll give it another quick pound. Now again, you have a bunch of different layers of flavor here. Now sometimes I'll season the inside with salt and pepper, but depending on how salty your prosciutto is, you might not want to do that. We could do the other side. We could season the other side. So I'll just take it over here. We'll add a little bit of my ariosto spice. And the ariosto mix I use is a blend of 13 different spices. But the thing about it, it's good. It's got salt in it, but it's not overly salty. So we'll just kind of blend that up really quick. The other one I did with my finger. I'm showing all the different apparatuses you could use. Or are they apparati? I'm not sure. Don't know that word. All right. So we get our oil nice and hot. You remember how we check if our oil's hot? Well, I'll show you in a second. We're going to dip the chicken in the flour. Now, what should happen is that when you pick up the chicken breast, the prosciutto doesn't fall right off. And so that's exactly what did happen. We're going to see if we're hot enough here. We need just another second. So we'll leave this on the side. We'll get our other one started, and we'll do a little bit of cleanup. Now, like a chicken marsala or any of the other chicken dishes, the sauce for this is really simple. Basically, it's using some type of wine, finishing with butter, and in this case, we're also going to use a little bit of mushroom too. So there we go. Now it's kind of giving it a little bubble. Prosciutto side down first. Prosciutto side down first. Can't say that enough. And we let that sear in. This is a very important part of the process because if you don't get that prosciutto and the chicken to stick together, prosciutto start actually shrinking as the chicken does because all meat shrinks a little bit when it's cooking. But the prosciutto with all the fat on it will actually shrink a little bit quicker and hold to the chicken, keeping the sage attached. If that doesn't happen, it falls off and it's just part of the sauce, but you just make that up and say, well, that was meant to do that. So let's hope that doesn't happen here. So we have those two. We're going to sear that for a little longer than we do normally chicken because I want to get that prosciutto nice and crispy. While that's searing up, basically I'm going to take a portobello mushroom. Just make sure it's lightly cleaned off, not with water, just to make sure there's no dirt on it. And usually they come pretty clean. And I'm just going to do a sliced mushroom that we're going to use in there. You can slice it any way you want. Chop it up smaller if you like. We just want to put a little bit of mushroom in our sauce to go along with the marsala. So I'm actually making two dishes in one. If you did it without the prosciutto, I'm giving you a marsala sauce that you would do chicken marsala with. If you do it the way I'm doing it, you're doing a saltimbocca. And your saltimbocca sauce could be with or without mushrooms, with a Madeira or a marsala wine. Now you see how that prosciutto got nice and crispy? That looks beautiful, doesn't it? I'm going to get our mushrooms in there. All right? We're going to we talked about our garlic, a little bit of garlic. We'll put a little more of our ariosto on here because we want to season the other ingredients we put in there. Now watch how quick this comes together. Again, chicken is almost totally cooked. If you're doing it for a lot of people, what you want to do is make sure, let me get that garlic kind of moving around in there now. If you're doing it for a lot of people, you'll cook your chicken ahead of time. You'll take out this chicken, put it on a sheet tray, and just let it relax. If you're cooking like we cook at the restaurant, one dish at a time, this is pretty much how we make it. You add your ingredients one step at a time. Here I'm going to add my Marsala. Because it's a fortified wine, I'm going to pull it away. Going to add some great sweetness and a little bit of flambe, which it's been years since I flambéed, so I'm just going to enjoy it. Ah, it's beautiful. Anyway, if you are doing it yourself at home, the best way to do it is take this, go as high as possible, come down, because you do not want it to ignite. I tell you that every single time, because one day I'll get that email that says, my husband flambéed and we don't have a kitchen anymore. And I'll say, well, go to Vermont Cabinetry because they have incredible kitchens. Well, I'm not allowed to say that. All right. All right, let's move on. What are we going to finish this with? A little bit of butter, why don't we? Let's put a little bit of butter. Be generous with the butter. Now, once you get that kind of heat going on, you don't want your butter to go into a pan that's going to keep getting hot. So we're going to shut it off and watch this create its beautiful sauce. I mean, you've seen it happen many, many times before. But this sauce happens really fast and quick. That was a good plug. Anyway, let's get another plate. There should be one in here. And if you're making chicken, veal, pork dishes from scratch, which you should be, we could save you a ton of money from going out to eat. And you look like a superstar with your family. They're simple, they're quick, they're beautiful. Watch the sauce come together as the butter melts in it. You see how as I shake it around, it turns into more of a complete sauce because the butter, the flour that came from the chicken, come on, got a little more left. And the mushrooms cooked down but didn't disintegrate because we didn't let them cook too long. And we have this great sauce. You don't need a stock for this at all because you're really creating a sauce this way. You can put a little bit of stock. If you have a little demi-glaze, that's beautiful on there too. But man, oh man, those look beautiful. I don't know why people don't do this more often. Here, that's just for the garnish, for the fun people like to garnish food at home. Chicken piccata, Spanish chicken. Chicken, what's that thing called? Oh, saltimbocca, which actually means jump in your mouth. Fork, tender, juicy, not dry, perfectly cooked, wonderful. Hey, that's our chicken show. Get ready for the next one, the next culinary journey, because it'll be fantastic. And I'll see you on that next culinary journey. This is incredible. Brought to you in part by Monadnock Flooring and Decorating, offering quality sales, service, and installation for over 35 years on Production Avenue next to Subaru of Keene.